Oh my God, I forgot what I was going to say.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, strangers.
Hey, strangers.
I was going to say, hey,
sidesters,
sidesters, and then
we
I
were
got
just
all
talking
confused.
about sidesters.
Wow. This is really setting the stage for today's episode.
Yep.
Well, hello, I'm Krista. With me is Kurt.
Hi, I'm Kurt.
This is a podcast called The Strange Sessions, and I swear we've done this before.
Yeah. If you've never been here before,
Sorry.
you got lots to listen to for the
Yeah,
back
you've got 8 years worth of
of
episodes.
stuff to listen to.
If you don't want to listen to this first 20 minutes, though, hit pause, check the show notes, skip ahead to the topic start time.
Perfect. Shout outs to our newest strangers, and I forgot to do these last week, and they are Ian Hondel, love you, Ian, and Haley Nicole Irwin.
Welcome.
Thank you guys so much for joining. Yeah.
Hey, we
Housekeeping?
have new strangers.
We do.
We had a couple
But
episodes
this
where
is
we
like
didn't have any.
2 episodes
Well,
back, so nobody's joined.
That's fine.
Everybody was really cool with our
announcement.
announcement, so thank you so much. And again, it's not that we're just gonna
Up and quit.
up and like thinking sideways. I don't even know if they ever did anything else or anything, but we're gonna come back. Krista and I were talking that like an easy one will do. It'll be like if I want to come see Krista one day because I haven't seen her in a while, we'll just come and do a Strange States episode.
Yeah, we've only gotten through a handful of states.
Yeah. The next episode after this one will actually be a Strange States episode that one of our beloved listeners wanted us to do. So the next episode will be a Strange States episode.
Sweet.
But yeah, we're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
You know,
At
we're
least
gonna,
a year and a half
yeah.
of regular
I love that we
recording.
gave everybody like
Quite the
enough-
heads up.
Quite the heads up.
Yeah, you don't want to be that podcast that's like, well, this is our last episode.
Or even one
We
that just
joke
goes
about it a
away
lot.
without ever coming back.
Right.
Like that
Something happened and-
so I don't know what's going on with the Sofa King podcast because they haven't done an episode in months. So, and I hate that.
It's
I
always
hate
odd
not
when they
knowing.
don't let you know what's going on.
Yeah. So I just hate not knowing.
Like,
so,
I get the whole, like, wanting to protect your privacy, but, like, you could at least be like, hey, we've just run into some stuff happening in our personal lives. We're not going to record for a while.
Yeah. So we're
Just so
letting
people
you,
know, are you coming back or not?
we're letting you guys know like a year and a half
Yeah.
ahead of time. So
We're
you're good.
planners. We're not really fly by the seat of our pants people.
Yeah. Do we have any other housekeeping? Complaining about the weather?
Ugh.
I know. How are you?
I have a company picnic today, and not only is it going to be like 84 or 85, it's supposed to be like
there's supposed to be
severe
nasty storms
thunderstorms
coming.
And it's outside, so this should be interesting.
Yeah.
And it's rain or shine. I guess they said they'll cancel if the weather gets really bad, but like, how am I going to be checking my email all day? Like,
I have to pay my phone bill. I'm going to stop at the Walmart when I leave here. Other than that, this is going. I don't know why I'm saying this because if they're listening to it, it's already released. But this is going to be released super early tomorrow morning because we're in a bind again at work. So I said I would go in tomorrow, even though it's my weekend off. So I'm going to work tomorrow. So I'm going to release this probably at like 5 in the morning here or 4 in the morning here.
wow.
You know,
I will hopefully still be in bed. I'm usually up by 5 though, if I'm being honest. 5:30 at the latest, even on the weekend.
Lately, my designated sleeping time is 7 p.m. till 2 a.m. That
my
is my
God.
designated sleeping time.
I mean, that's 7
But
hours.
see, that's why that we're gonna still have stuff to do is because what else do I do from 2 till 5 in the morning? But research, you know, podcast stuff.
We're trying to schedule our next investigation. We want to go back, or we were offered to go back to the hotel. Or I guess it's not really a hotel anymore. We're thinking about September 27th, but we'll see what they say.
No, I'm excited to go back there. I want to do another Estes method session. That's a hard phrase for some reason.
It's a tongue
Do
twister.
we have any other housekeeping that you can think of?
I don't think so.
I'm trying to
It's
think.
my birthday week.
Yes, happy birthday week.
Thank you. Well, I guess when they listen, it will be my birthday week.
Yeah.
To me, a week is Sunday through Saturday.
To me, a week
It's
is
because
Monday
at work,
through Sunday.
that's like a week at work is Sunday through Saturday. So I always think of Sunday as part of the next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, next Thursday is my
Trying to think of other housekeeping.
Birthday.
Just a huge thank you to everybody that sent in stories and
I'm excited.
voicemails.
I didn't read ahead, so these will be surprises to
I
me.
didn't read a whole lot ahead either, so these are going to be new to me. And whatever we get done, I got a couple funky Reddit stories that I want to read.
Cool.
But yeah,
This is like my favorite episode of the season.
and this is
Reddit-
something that
or
we will
stories.
continue when we keep saying end the podcast, but we're not ending the podcast. We're ending the regular schedule
What
of
should
the
we call
podcast.
it? We need to come up with a different term. We're not ending it. We're not going on a hiatus. We're not taking a break. We're just
modifying it.
Yeah, we're modifying it. There you go.
So, but this will be another thing.
And
like,
unstructured.
If something weird happens to you guys, email it to us, and we will keep doing listener stories.
Yeah.
You know, Strange States episode, listener stories episode. Those will all be ones that we can just get together and do.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we're not like regular investigators. Like we only.
Yeah.
I mean, if we get 2 in this year, that's a lot for us.
Yeah.
But we'll probably always do an episode when we do an investigation.
Yeah. No, so that we'll totally do that.
Yeah.
We're still getting used to the sounds down here in the
what is that now?
in the new basement.
The only time I'm down here is if I'm doing laundry or we're recording. So
and Krista had
to close. Krista
had to close the door to the creepy crawl space room.
Yeah, it's just like every time I walk by it, it's this square with
looks like
blackness behind it.
And that room looks like Dexter's kill room, where it's just a weird.
And it's the room with the light in it. It's like a fluorescent light the kind that kind of trips you out because it's like it's got to be like blinking really fast or something. No.
So she shuts that door.
Yeah, no.
I'm getting no creepy vibes here, unfortunately.
No, not at all.
I was hoping it would be super haunted and we could do an investigation at your house. But
every once in a while, I get a really strong whiff of like cigarettes, which is disgusting. But the former
I
owner,
love the smell of cigarette smoke.
Seriously?
Yes, that's one of my favorite smells. Is when I get into my car after somebody has smoked in my car.
Ew.
I don't know why.
Barf.
I don't know why.
I
but
think
that's
there's
one of
a
my
difference
favorite
between
smells.
which I don't like the smell of fresh cigarette smoke, but like stale cigarette smoke or like just the smell of like cigarettes like that have been snubbed out or whatever and sitting in an ashtray, like that's a horrible smell.
I like
the
that
woman we
smell.
bought the house from was a smoker.
Yeah. Oh, that's
and
probably.
she
Do you think
always-
that's why? Because when I pulled up this morning, you asked me
I was
outside
like, do you smell
if
cigarette
I smelled
smoke?
cigarette smoke.
But that and I think I'm just like, so, Jesus.
What was
Sorry,
that?
that was a swear.
That wasn't a swear.
Something's running over there and it just clunked off. I found out that maybe I mentioned this. Her husband died while they were living here.
Oh.
And I asked, because she didn't tell me this. Unfortunately, we've had many interactions with her. And Jim said she didn't tell him whether he died in the house or not. But he had cancer, and I guess that room that's sort of like kind of off the house with the vaulted ceilings.
Yep.
I guess that was his room at the end when he was like in hospice care or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I wonder if he had lung cancer. I wonder if he was a smoker. Like, is that why I occasionally will be in the house and just get this really strong smell of smoke and then it's gone?
We need to go in that room with the Ouija board.
No.
Okay.
But it could just be that they smoked in this house. And even though I feel like we've gotten the smell out really well, it was only in one room.
Yeah.
There was only one room and it was upstairs. And just on like a rainy or damp
Like
or
if a
humid
weird
day.
draft comes through one day, you might get a little bit of it.
Maybe that's all it is. But there is a part of me that, of course, goes to, is it the dude? Is he still here?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
We had weird stuff at the nursing home.
Just happening all the time?
Well, this week, one of the employees told me about something that happened, but I can't talk about it out here.
Tell me after.
I'll tell you after. Yeah, it's cool. I'll tell you after.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise life is just, I'm working all the time. I am constantly exhausted and I don't know what's going on.
But you like your job still?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It's a lot of, I had 3 people the other day at work tell me I'm not my usual cheery self. So I don't know if I'm just getting
burnt
out. I really think my sleep, whatever it is just getting worse and worse. And I think I'm just.
Yeah, but you got like 7 hours. I just think you have it timed
That's the thing.
wrong.
Like I said,
you need to go to bed later.
I try, but I falling asleep, So I don't know. It's just like my time. I don't remember if I said it on here or it was when we were recording before, but I talked about how my time to go to bed is like 7 p.m. till 2 a.m. I'm up at 2 a.m.
I would have to be in bed later than that to be. The earlier I get up, the harder it is for me during the day.
I don't get out of bed until 3:30. I got a couple games on my
really
phone
early.
that I play, and it's just like amazes me. People like walking in the hallway of my apartment complex at like 3:00 in the morning, and
it's probably people coming home from third shift. That wouldn't
bar,
really be third shift actually.
Yeah, but it's just like the noises just kind of amazes me. Mm-hmm. But anyway, enough of my apartment stories.
Should we do a taste test?
Yeah, you want me to reach in and grab something?
Do it. I was not disappointed by last week's
Thank you. Jennifer
test.
sent us to these.
Ooh, a bag. Oh, and these are from London or England, right?
Yeah, these sound like these could be good.
So she said there was one oh. So they look kind of like Cheeto type. You know what I'm saying?
I wonder if this is the
like
one
the
that somebody
kind?
picked for us.
That she said my husband or somebody picked. I apologize.
This sounds good.
It does sound good. You know us, the pickle theme. So they are Monster Munch, Minecraft movie, pickled onion.
I love anything onion.
Something.
Like, I love onions.
What does that say? I need my glasses. Hold on. Flavor baked corn snacks.
So like a Cheeto puff kind of.
But they're like in the shape of a catcher's mitt.
I'm
Do you think that's what that is, or is it like a
it's
hand?
something
Just like a
mine,
hand?
it's something Minecrafty.
I
love
seeing-
anything onion flavored.
They smell
Like
good.
the old
you know
Dutch,
What you know
old
what I
Dutch
think they're going to be
onion.
like?
Huh.
Funyuns.
Not, but pickled onion. I think pickled is going to make it like vinegary.
I'm taking
onion-y.
3. They're cute.
I really think I'm going to like these. Did you sniff them?
Not yet. They're very. I can smell the dill.
Oh, I
that's
can
what
smell-
worries
Yeah.
because we just tasted something right, and it was just dill.
Yeah, but this is oniony. You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh my God.
These are really
Those
good.
are really good.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I was worried that it would just be dill.
No. You get like the pickly flavor first, but then you get the onion.
I really get the corn flavor too.
These are great. These
Heck
really
yeah.
are. Oh my God.
They're a really interesting texture. They do remind me of like a Funyun,
Mm-hmm.
but like not as. I mean, they're really crunchy, obviously. A Funyun's more of a crispy crunch. Does that make any sense?
I'm giving those a 10. They are really good. I wouldn't want to kiss somebody after eating this.
No. I'm glad I took 3. I'm going to eat them all.
I'm giving it a 10.
I should have Jim try these too.
You should.
I really like the corn flavor in the background,
Yeah.
though, like actual corn
Yes.
flavor.
9 or 10. What are you going to give it?
A 10. As
Nice.
I take one last bite.
Our last thing was a 10 too, so I'm excited.
Oh, that's really good.
Wow, it's got a little tangy aftertaste.
I wonder if that's the one that she was like, sorry in advance.
No, I don't know, because this one was amazing. Yum.
That's delicious.
That is delicious.
You can take those home.
Well, yeah, okay, I will. I won't fight you on that one.
Sorry, I just need a drink of water.
Time are we looking at?
We're perfect. 21. And we had like 8 minutes of banter for the side session.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we're way ahead of schedule.
I feel like there was something we were going to say, but I can't think of it.
It's probably something major.
Probably. Our 2 very tough trivia questions. One of our listeners got the first one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he sent in his answers, and I'm like, oh my God, how did you get that?
And there's an email with trivia questions in it
Yes.
too. Okay.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, I can't think. What else? Next episode will be Strange States.
And the side session is a researched one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a couple on my computer that I researched for episodes that we didn't do.
Okay.
What it might be, but I think I'm going to have to talk fast to get everything in, is cicada story.
Cicada story?
Yeah. It's a computer.
Cicadas are really loud right now,
It's a
by the way.
computer thing. It's not.
It's not a bug?
It's not a bug. Yeah, cicada 3301. I think we might do that.
Okay.
Unless I can find something else. Those are really good. Wow. England does good with its snacks though. Like their dairy milk, whatever it's called, like their Cadbury chocolate. Like it's really good.
Okay.
When I was there with Jim in London, we got that a couple times. Oh, I miss London.
By the way, we were playing with AI during the side session intro. I should say the unedited version. That stuff is terrifying.
It is.
I did this one
my video that I posted in the group where I drink the coffee and then something happens and I'm like
breakdancing
and
behind
then turning into a demon or
morphing,
shape-shifting.
and I'm cackling.
Yeah.
Well, we did I did a video I tested a video version of our picture that we posted for recording today. And it did another really weird thing with Kurt's coffee, and I'm again just cackling in the background.
It's like fire, and I'm like spitting fire out of my mouth.
But the first one I did, we didn't do the fun filter on, and it was like we were a couple, and I was giving
you
Kurt
were like
the eyelashes.
You were like gazing
I
at
was
me.
gazing lovingly at Kurt. I should post both of them because they're really funny.
But yeah,
I like how I look in that one though. I look very young.
It's and they're creepy with like the sounds in the background, like the weird. And then when you talk, it's like this gibberish. Yeah. AI is weird. Scary. I mean,
also fun.
Also, you're going to be playing with that.
I'm going to have to post both of those.
Take some pictures of Lucy and see what it makes Lucy do.
Oh my gosh. I should try that.
Should we jump into it?
Yeah.
As you guys know, this is our listener stories episode for the season. So thank you so much for everybody that sent in.
I look forward to this one every year.
We have 3 voicemails.
Okay.
One from Katie, I think we got last year. Actually, we're going to get to now. And we have one from Andy, one from Michaela.
And have we scoured through old messages? And
I tried, but if I forgot yours and for some reason we didn't get it, it's probably got one from like season 2 that we still have to read. But if we
when did we start doing listener? It had to be been a few seasons in because we didn't have a lot of listeners.
I think our second season,
did we
maybe.
Really? We already had enough listeners to do a listener story episode.
Probably second or third.
Crazy.
Yeah. But if I forgot yours or you sent it and it's not on here, just drop me a message, let me know, and we will do it in one of the upcoming episodes. So you ready? I'll start.
By the way, can I just say in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be September.
I know. I'm just ready for summer to be done. I'm just so ready.
I'm so excited. Sorry, I don't even know why I said that. I'm just like really psyched about it.
Somebody had this posted on Facebook earlier, and I saved this because I love this. It's like a Twitter post or something.
Oh, you're reading it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They said, I don't know how to explain this, but Thursday, October, and 8:00 p.m. are all the same.
Interesting.
I know. I like that.
I am somebody who truly feels the days of the week have a feel to them.
Yeah.
Like Tuesday has a feeling that's completely different than Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah. I've always liked Mondays. I don't know what
really?
What is wrong with you? I don't know. I've always liked Mondays.
My favorite time of the week is the second I walk in the door after work on Friday, or actually I work remotely most Fridays. So the second I close my laptop, it's the eve of the rest of the weekend. The whole weekend is in front of you.
Yep.
That's my favorite time of the entire week.
I don't like the weekends as much because if I got to go shopping, every place is crowded. I love...
You got to go when we go, Kurt.
I miss...
We're at Meijer at between 6:30 and 7 in the morning. There's nobody there.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Aaron and I were just saying, I went down to see Aaron this week, and we missed the days when both of us didn't have a job, and we would go like geocaching on a Thursday.
Yeah.
And we'd go out to these places out in the country, these little grocery stores, and nobody's there. And I love weekdays. Weekends I'm not so crazy about, but that's just me.
I love it just because I'm not working.
You ready to jump into the first one?
Yes.
I believe this person wants to remain anonymous. Yes.
Hopefully they said that.
They did.
Or just we always say their first name and not their last name.
Yeah. Like if you send us a story, let us know, or just write your name how you want us
to say it. Yeah.
So you ready?
I'm ready.
This one I did read. Hey, Kurt and Krista. First time sending in a story. I'm going to remain anonymous because who knows who's listening, and then a winky face emoji. So this didn't really happen to me, but it's more of a friend thing, but I know the person it happened to, and I know he isn't the type to make this stuff up. So the story happened to a friend of my boyfriend. We'll call him Lucas. So Lucas lives in a neighborhood that borders on a large woods. This woods has a bike trail going through it for hardcore bikers to use. It isn't used all that often, but it is used, so the trail is fairly well known. There is a rough little path behind Lucas's house that connects to the bike trail. I've been there, so I do know that this all exists and where it is. The bike trail has some pretty steep hills on it, in parentheses for bikers to break their necks, I suppose. So if you're standing back from one of these hills and someone comes up it, you of course see the top of their heads first as they come up the steep hill. So this happened to them one autumn. It wasn't even nighttime when this happened. It was around 1 or 2 in the afternoon. Lucas and his friend were hanging out at his house and decided to go for a walk on the bike trail. Lucas's brother and parents were gone, so they locked up the house and headed out to walk on the trail.
So they're teenagers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so. As the two of them were walking on the trail, just talking and laughing, they hadn't run into anyone else on the trail. As they were walking along, they were approaching the top of one of the steep hills when all of a sudden they both heard Lucas's brother's voice coming from the hill. The brother's voice yelled, quote, "Lucas, come here and look at this." Lucas and his friend didn't know where his brother had went, so it seemed reasonable to them that he had been out on the trail too. As they walked closer to the top of the hill, they heard his brother yell, quote, "Come here, hurry up." You know where this is probably going already. As Lucas and his brother got closer to the hill, they saw Lucas's brother's head show up into view as he came up the hill. Lucas and his friend froze in their tracks. Lucas later told my boyfriend that it was his brother, but something seemed off about him. He said that it was like someone tried to make a double of his brother, but didn't have everything quite right.
It's like AI.
Yeah, exactly. He had a wide smile on his face and stopped in his tracks, staring at Lucas and his friend. Suddenly, the brother thing let out this weird laugh and seemed to turn and run back down the hill and off into the woods. As Lucas and his friend could hear the rustling leaves and running footsteps as whatever this was took off into the woods rather than the path. Lucas and his brother were like, WTF. Freaked out, they turned around and went back to Lucas's house. They later found out that Lucas's brother had been hanging out with his friends across town at the time they saw, quote, him on the trail.
How did we start out with like the worst story?
Just get it out of the way. Like I said, I know Lucas and his friend, and they aren't the type to make this up, and they seem genuinely spooked by this. Anyway, love the show, and thank you so much for everything you guys
That's
do.
actually horrifying.
It is.
Stories like that really creep me out.
It horrifies me that it's like in the afternoon, too, and it's not at like midnight or 3 a.m., you know?
So what did he say?
Like, come here, look at this.
Ew. Yeah. And then just stands there smiling, grinning at them, and then laughs
I like the description
and runs away.
It looked like somebody tried to make him, but it wasn't quite right.
Oh. Doppelganger stories really freak me out.
Doppelgangers and mimics, man.
Yeah.
We don't like
But
them.
also I love hearing them.
I do too, but
they're pretty much my favorite stories.
I don't want to experience one.
Oh my God, no.
No.
That would mess with my entire reality.
Oh yeah.
It really would.
Yeah.
How would you ever trust anything again?
I don't know.
That's scary.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Now on to the next one.
Can only go up from here. Is it me?
Yes, you.
Okay. Hi, Kurt and Krista. Greetings from Leeds, UK.
Leeds?
What
up, Leeds?
What's up, Leeds? I've been wanting to share this story for some time, but always seem to miss the window for sending it. The story happened at my childhood home and where my mom still lives. I love that.
Mom.
So you would appreciate if you would use my forename only. Thank you for telling us. We moved to a council estate in Leeds, like many council estates in the UK, built in the 1950s post-World War II. The street which we moved to was originally an area in World War II used for anti-aircraft defense for German planes trying to attack Barmbau Defense Systems, a huge weapons manufacturer and supplier to the British during the Army period. It is rumored that soldiers that manned the anti-aircraft weapons in the area felt the whole place was haunted. They would see apparitions, have conversations with other soldiers who would return from an entirely opposite direction seconds later. And no knowledge of the conversation. One main thing they would report was personal items such as tobacco pouches, keys, and watches would disappear, only to reappear hours later in unusual places or even back in the original place where they were certain they had checked over and over. A mischievous spirit in the UK is known as a Bogart.
Aww. Bogey. We miss Bogart.
My dog's
that was
name.
her dog. He was a big old dog.
These reports became so frequent that when the estate was built, it was named after the spirit Bogart Hill. Fast forward to 1989, we moved into our home. My sister and I were 8 and 10. After we first moved in, everything seemed normal. Gradually, things started to shift, an unfamiliar sense when walking between rooms, things not seeming as they were or out of place. My sister, now 9, started saying she was unable to sleep well on a night because of someone digging in the back garden. She would hear it going on for sometimes over an hour. She would bring up the courage to look out of her window and the noise would stop. As soon as she moved away from the window, the sound slowly started again. This noise would be a constant throughout our childhood, even to the point when she grew up and had children, they would also say they heard someone digging in the garden when they stopped at grandma's.
So weird.
Yeah, like what the heck? My own experience started slowly. I'd often see a small shadowed figure out of the corner of my eye. I played it off as tiredness or an overactive imagination. This stopped when I neared being a teenager, which is interesting. You'd think it would actually ramp up then. However, other things didn't stop over the years. Gradually, both my parents and I, as well as my sister, would hear the digging. We jokingly named the ghost in the garden as Digger. Usually when someone slept badly, it was because Digger kept them up all night. Things would disappear only to reappear days later. As a teen, I always wore a baseball cap. I hung the cap on the post at the bottom of the staircase. One evening, my parents were watching TV and the cap seemed to be thrown from the post into the living room about 4 feet. They yelled to me to stop messing around. I was in my bedroom playing on PlayStation 1. My sister was at a friend's house. Our dog would often sprint to the foot of the stairs. His fur stood up. He would growl while looking up at nothing. This episode would happen at least once a week. Our house alarm would go off in the middle of the night or during the day when no one was home. We never had a break-in, always just seemed to be random and in different zones, which seemed to rule out a faulty sensor. When I left home, my parents would still get spooky happenings. My mom blamed my dad for losing the TV remote, only for it to reappear on the floor of the kitchen hours later. Sadly, my dad fell ill and passed away in the house. My mom woke a few days later. My mom went into the living room, saw her wedding picture had fallen from the wall to the floor. She was spooked, but thought nothing of it, putting it back on the wall. The next morning, the same wedding picture had fallen to the floor and seemed to have bounced a little further towards the middle of the room. Coincidence, perhaps. Loose picture hanger, probably. She tested the hanger. It was in the wall firmly. She hung the picture back up. This happened every day for almost a week. The final time she found the picture the whole way across the room.
So weird.
Yeah. It would have had to fall hard and bounce very hard to make it across from one wall to another. She picked up the picture and called out my dad's name. Please stop. You're scaring me. She hung the picture back up. It hasn't moved since, except for when decorating. The spooky happenings seemed to stop after that, too. We still get a shiver when entering certain rooms, particularly the back bedroom. My daughter mentions the man at grandma's, having never met my dad, her granddad. My mom doesn't have a man living with her. Finally,
it just amazes me, like how kids can just see these things and just be so nonchalant about it, you know.
Like it's just normal.
Yeah.
Finally, last summer, my mom returned from holiday to find all her garden furniture moved from the spot it usually stays on. She expected someone had tried to steal it, but had been caught. She reviewed her outdoor CCTV. The furniture is clear in frame. No one approaches or touches it. But suddenly, everything shifts quickly to the right of screen.
Weird.
Oh.
I would love to see that.
Yeah. Tables and 4 chairs and a bench all move at once and at the same time. Nothing around them moves. The day seemed calm on the CCTV. She has put it down to a very strong gust of wind. I think this is to stop herself from being even more scared. Hopefully, she still has the footage. I'll try to forward it on. That would be amazing.
That would be.
Stay strange, Darren.
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you, Darren. Wow.
CCTV
That's a lot.
thing freaks me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to see everything shift suddenly to the right. Ooh.
Uh-huh.
I would think if it were wind, it wouldn't just all move together.
No. Like one, depending on how they were angled, I would think they would move differently.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that footage because that's crazy. Yikes. Our next one is a voicemail.
Oh, okay.
From Michaela, who started a Discord, I believe, for us.
Oh, when?
Recently. She posted another group about
okay.
it.
I gotta find out.
I don't know how to search for it on Discord.
Okay.
Do I just search
Maybe
for the
streams? Maybe she can post a link.
Yeah, if you can post a link, Michaela, that would be helpful because I'm very Discord dysfunctional.
Okay. Here's her voicemail.
Hi, this is Michaela from Massachusetts. How are you guys? I just have a kind of weird story to tell and also talking about how we all kind of can scare ourselves with like matrixing and seeing things that aren't there. So one of my shifts every week is a late shift. So I'm getting home at like 9:30 at night. Where I live, it's kind of like these winding roads, lots of hills and trees and forest. And in this one particular place, there's this big downhill and then there's a curve at the end. And along the downhill is a stone wall. And I'm driving back at home at night. It's like 9:00 at night. It's dark. And at the bottom of the hill, sitting on the stone wall, there's a person, but they're facing away from me. So all I see is just this person, and I don't see their face. And after I drove past them, it was like, you know that feeling when you're a kid and you like leave the basement and you just feel like something's behind you and you like rush up the stairs? That's like how I felt going home. I was just like rushing to get home and get in the house. I don't know why. It's just a person. I just thought it was weird that I didn't see their face. So then the next week, now every time now I come home at this time, I'm like checking that same spot on the stone wall. And the next week, again, I'm coming home and I look again at the stone wall. There's not a body there this time. There's no person sitting there. But around the corner on the bottom is one of those big mailboxes, like the big plastic green mailboxes. So I come around the corner, and out of the corner of my eye, I just see this shape, and I jumped so much thinking it was a person again. It's just a mailbox. So anyway, that's just my silly story. It still creeps me out that there was a person sitting there with their back turned to me, and I have no idea who it was or what they looked like. So, yeah, always vigilant. All right, guys, stay strange. Love you. Bye.
I get it.
Thank you, Michaela. Thank you, Michaela. That's awesome.
It's amazing how, like she said, how we can just totally creep ourselves out over seemingly nothing.
We do, and I think a lot of it depends on what we're thinking of at the time.
Also, if you're someone who's just into this stuff,
yeah,
your mind has a tendency to go to the creepy side of things when something like that happens. Somebody who's not into this stuff wouldn't have even phased them.
Yeah.
But
somebody
sometimes things just
this is
creep
always
us
in the
out.
back of their mind.
Yeah.
You know, paranormal stuff. So Michaela, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
we
sending that in. We love you too. This comes from what did I do here? I did something. This comes from Allie, who has the podcast.
Oh, nice.
She has the podcast. Hang on here.
Has a cool name.
Oh my God, I love the name of the podcast. Yeah. Like, I wish we would have took that when we started.
Hey, I like the strange stuff.
I do too. She has Signal and the Static podcast, which is awesome. I've listened to the first couple episodes. So, Allie, thank you so much for sending this in.
They're short little bites.
Yeah, and I love that name. She says, "Hi guys, I've been a long time listener and recently started getting back into the podcast because I actually have time to listen to it now, and I'm working basically on the road all the time. It truly is like having a conversation with a friend, and I find myself responding to you guys like you can actually hear me.
I love that.
This story happened this past December 2024. But to preface the story, my husband's grandparents had a very weird relationship. They have been together since they were 18 and were married for 50 years. They were just not very lovey-dovey. My husband's grandmother had been bedridden for about 2.5 years and was in kidney failure, and we had just found out recently that she was not a candidate for dialysis. She was not able to do anything for herself, and my husband's grandfather had been her caregiver during this time. We set her hospital bed up in the kitchen, and she was just happy to be home. My husband and I had been staying with his grandparents and aunt/uncle, who all lived together on their couch, who all lived together on their couch for about 2 weeks after moving from the other side of the duplex after a disagreement with his great aunt who lived on the other side. Gotta love family stuff. And his grandfather was in the process of clearing out the spare room upstairs for us. And one day he finally did, so we got all of our stuff in there, and he had made a nice pork roast dinner. Yum. And he was in a great mood that night. We all had a glass of eggnog together and went to bed. Do you like eggnog?
I do.
Do you? Mm-hmm. Do you ever have actual eggnog with the booze
in it? I think I have, yeah.
Ooh, I'm not an eggnog fan.
I can only have a little bit of it. Yeah. It's not something you can drink a lot of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had the real stuff. Only
I
at
just
Christmas.
Can't. I mean, I drink weird stuff like the weird Quick Trip, like the root beer milk is one of my favorite milks. Well, I talked on here about that time that they had a mint, like a Shamrock mint milk, and I bought it, and I was drinking it, and it was really thick, and I'm like, oh, this is the best milk I ever had. Turns out it was coffee creamer. So I drank a whole container of coffee creamer. It was good.
Oh, that's great.
Anyway, where was I here? Oh, eggnog. The next morning, we all wake up, and my husband and I go to work. Around 12:30 that afternoon, I got a call from my mother-in-law saying that she had found my husband's grandfather dead in the driveway. He had had a massive heart attack while going to take a dog on a walk.
Aww.
The only reason that my mother-in-law had found him is because the doors to her car were locked, which she never locks, and she ended up locking her keys in the car, and he had her spare key, so she didn't know where he was. Ugh, I can't imagine finding that. So he left work, and my husband and most of his family went to the hospital to go and deal with all of that, and I was at the house with his grandmother. When everyone arrived home, we told her that he was gone, cried together, and then some of us went outside to just get some air, and then a tree weirdly fell in the backyard. His grandmother shared a glass of champagne with us that night in memory of his grandfather. That night was the second night that we slept in the spare room. My husband woke up the next morning and looked at me and said he would be right back. He went into his grandfather's room and was looking for something. He comes back empty-handed and tells me in the middle of the night that he had a dream that his grandfather had come into our room while we were in there sleeping and woke him up and said, "Did you give Mima her Christmas present yet?" And my husband is like, "No, we don't know where it is." And my husband's grandfather in the dream said, "What the hell are you waiting for? I'll show you where it is." So he goes in there and sees the present, and it's in a blue box. It's a silver necklace with words on the box. But fast forward to the next morning, and my husband couldn't find it, and we were like, okay, maybe it was just a dream. So later that day, my mother-in-law, myself, my husband, and his aunt that we were living with in the same house were all sitting in the living room, and my husband mentioned the dream that he had to them, and his aunt said, "Wait a second," and she goes upstairs. She comes downstairs with the blue box that my husband had seen. Isn't that weird? Seen in his dream, and says, "Is this it?" Once we actually saw the words, we read what it said, and we were in shock because it basically said something along the lines of, quote, "To my wife, I didn't marry you because I could live with you. It's because I can't live without you." Aww. Right? Which was so out of character for him. He was never the type of person to be romantic like that. He was a sailor and spent a lot of time on his sailboat, and he was also a major stoner. His aunt said that she was cleaning up his grandfather's room looking for his phone and found it and brought it into her room so it didn't get lost. That's why it wasn't in the room when he finds it. Isn't that weird? So the next day, his grandmother ends up in the hospital with a severe infection and wasn't doing great. So we brought it to the hospital to give to his grandmother. And when my husband was giving it to her and telling her about the dream, it felt like the grandfather was in the room. I could visualize him standing behind my husband with his hand on his shoulder. After that, we went home, and his aunt called and said that his grandmother had said that she wanted to go on hospice and be with her husband. So for the next week and a half, we visited her and never spoke again, and she slipped into a comatose state. She ended up passing away on Christmas Day right after her youngest grandchild opened the present that she had gotten him. The next day, my husband tells me that he had another dream, and in this dream, we were in the living room, and his grandfather was there, but he looked younger, more put together, and he ran up and hugged his grandfather and told him that he missed him, and after about a minute of hugging him, he said, "That's enough, I have things to do." After that, his grandmother came walking down the stairs in fancy clothes, and they said goodbye to everyone and left.
Wow.
We lost his grandfather December 11th, 2024, and his grandmother December 25th, 2024, exactly 2 weeks to the date. Wow, that's a really good story.
Yeah.
Like,
that's amazing.
I love the idea that, you know, like at the end when he was younger, looking younger, and she came down in this nice dress as they moved on to whatever comes after this. You know, I love that story.
Me too.
Ellie,
that's
thank
lovely.
you so much for sending that to us. I kind of hope that's what it's like when we die.
Yeah, me too. You get to be the best version of yourself when you were happiest, and
mine would be in my probably like 20 years old.
I don't even know, honestly. It's hard to say. Maybe my best years are ahead of me.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
I think my best years are way behind me.
Oh, come on.
Okay, your
Me?
turn.
Okay.
You
Okay.
put the glasses back on.
Yep. Hi, Kurt and Krista.
Hi.
I hope you're both doing well and Krista's happily settling into her new home. I am, actually. I feel like I finally turned a corner where it's starting to actually feel like my home.
Good. Other than the ghostly cigarette smoke.
Yeah, other than that. To be honest, I wasn't planning on submitting a story this time around, and I'm afraid this one is far from ideal as it's actually third hand.
That's okay. We
Yeah,
already
we don't mind those.
had a third hand.
And it was the creepiest one so far. I thought it might be of interest given your latest episode.
I actually like the sweet, spooky stories like the last one. I like the creepy ones too.
Me too, yeah. It's nice to have
They
a little mix.
they even it out.
I thought it might be of interest given your latest episode and Kurt's interest in the Beth
Ooh,
sphere.
I like that.
Yes, he just applauded.
I did.
Several decades ago, I think it was in the 70s, my granddad knew two people who had an experience with a UFO in the most literal sense. They were working on an allotment when suddenly an object flew towards them out of nowhere, and it appeared to be targeting them. They described it as a smooth metallic egg-shaped object a bit bigger than a human head. It darted around for a little bit, narrowly missing them, and smashed through the window of a nearby greenhouse in the process. Not long after it had appeared, it shot off at a speed in the direction of the nearest city, and they never saw it again.
That's so cool.
I love that there's it actually broke something.
Yeah. I love stories about spheres, about weird metallic spheres.
As far as I'm aware, there were no other witnesses, and there was nothing in the news about this object. Apparently, this incident really shook them, and they had to drink some brandy afterwards to steady their nerves. It's a very unusual story, but I believe there's something to it, as they had the mic.
As it had taken the mick out of them for a while.
Had taken the mick out of them
That's
for a while
UK
afterwards.
term.
One was a serving policeman. Logical explanations could include a rogue drone or a ball lightning. Rogue drone in the 70s, though? Or ball lightning.
I could see them having some sort of
technology like
well,
that.
not a technology, but did they even have the remote control?
I don't know.
Futsy things. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I don't either. You're doing a lot of stuff with your hands that I can't interpret. Pressing buttons.
Yeah, that's what
with
I'm
your
doing
thumbs.
Not good at charades.
But based on the description that was passed on and the time in which this took place, neither seemed to fit the bill. Whilst drones have been around far longer than people think. Oh, okay.
Well, they have, but we always talk about on here how supposedly the military has technology 10, 20 years ahead of what we currently think we have. So it's possible.
Yeah, I suppose.
And I could see some private in the military not knowing how to fly this thing, driving it through a greenhouse window. I don't know.
It possessed features which seemed highly unusual, especially at that time. It was smooth with no apparent means of propulsion. I've been aware of this story for a while, and whilst I'd categorized it as a pretty strange UFO type tale, I'd never linked it to the likes of the Betz sphere until I listened to your most recent episode. Apologies, I don't have more details and it's not firsthand, but as I say, I thought it might be of interest given its unusual nature. Take care and stay strange, Jess. P.S. After listening to your episode, I agree the Boogosphere looks like a crappy art project.
I don't disagree with that.
P.P.S. I think in my last email I said I was planning on sending you guys some things in the mail, and I'm determined to do it very soon. I just need to check WTF is going on with sending stuff into the U.S. given, the changing whims of a certain orange politician.
Very good point. Very good point. Well, thank you in advance, Jess.
Thank you in advance, and we don't mind third-hand stories or second-hand stories or fifth-hand stories.
Yeah.
We just like the stories.
We do too. And I mean, didn't he say that one of them was a policeman? I mean,
that always adds some credibility.
Yeah, it totally does. Now we have a voicemail from Andy.
Glasses back on.
Glasses back on.
Okay, let's get her.
Got a good mixture of sweet and weird and
3 voicemails. That's always exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Hi, Ken, Krista, long time listener. First time poster. So, a few experiences. Felt somebody climb to bed next to me in a house where we know someone died. I know it's a little bit weird. My wife had gone to work 2 hours earlier. And then, felt the pressure on the bed. Felt somebody sit down. Then get into bed and cuddle. That was weird. A few other ones. Just glasses flying around, things breaking. Weirdest one was seeing a brownie in my bedroom. I think it's called a brownie. It was just bizarre. So a little gnome-like creature just sat in the corner, chilling. No, I was not on drugs. No, I was not high. So, and I wasn't drinking either. And this thing appeared a few times. It was just, not seen it since. Left it some gifts, but hey, who knows? Really random. Anyway, love you. Stay strange. Bye.
Andy, love your accent.
Wow. And like we've talked about it on here. Like we've talked about it a couple times about the thought of being in bed in the dark and something pulling the sheets from the bottom of the bed.
Or just
but
feeling anything.
Even worse than that to me is something crawling, like sitting into bed with you, like they're going to cuddle.
Did he say it cuddled him, or
I
it was?
think so.
Yeah.
But that creeps me out more than
Yeah.
something pulling the blanket at the bottom of it. Because at least then they're not on the bed. But when something gets on the bed with you, and you can feel
now it's really invading.
You can
your
feel the
space.
depression and feel its arm around you or whatever. That's a big nope.
Yeah, and a brownie is like a fae.
Yeah, we talked about that in the Fae.
Mm-hmm.
That it's a mischievous spirit that can be like cool with you if you give it gifts and
Yeah.
stuff. Otherwise, it can it's not like necessarily evil. It's just mischievous.
Just mess with you. Yeah.
But yeah, love the accent.
I'd love to
Really
know
do.
like how old he's in the UK, so his house could be like 500 years old.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thanks, Andy.
Got to get to the UK and check out some castles and stuff like
So
that.
cool.
Thank you so much, Andy. I don't know if it's the same Andy. I know we have a message coming from him too.
Like an email?
Like an email.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Is this me? Oh, this is from Lauren. Yeah, we're already getting towards the end because we didn't get a whole ton of them.
Okay.
Well,
We're already at an hour.
Okay.
Well, that's with the...
Yeah.
It's
But I got
45
Reddit
minutes.
stories
Yeah,
too,
yeah, yeah.
and trivia questions.
Okay, we're good.
So this is from Lauren, I think, sent this just yesterday. Hi, Kurt and Krista. I would be so honored to have my story read on the podcast. Here you go, Lauren. Thank you so much for sending it. I was probably 8 or 9 when we lived out in the middle of nowhere, a stretch of dirt road and fields as far as you could see. Across from our house was a farm that I loved to spend time at. I would spend hours there sitting in the pasture with the cows, brushing Lady, the lonely old brown horse that I loved dearly. I never saw anyone at the farm or the house behind it, although for the most part it seemed to stay maintained. I especially loved the old barn in the pasture. It was ancient, leaning slightly with half the roof sagging, and it smelled like dust, hay, and rusted metal. Inside, sunlight could barely... I can picture this in my head. Like, I love
Sounds
the description.
amazing.
Inside, sunlight could barely get through. I would climb the ladder and sit up there, sifting through old magazines, wooden crates stamped with logos from decades ago, and even found some rusty old horseshoes that I still treasure today.
I love barns.
I do too. One cloudy afternoon, I went over after school. The air felt humid, still, and heavy. I climbed the ladder to the loft like usual, my boots crunching on hay. That is when I noticed something I had never seen before, an old trunk shoved against the far wall, half buried under a dusty horse blanket. It was locked, but the lid wasn't flush. It looked like it had been pried open just enough for me to slide my fingers in. I don't know if I would be brave enough to do that. Once I touched it, I heard
It's almost like it was beckoning.
Yeah, once I touched it, I heard a sound like footsteps on the floor below. I froze. No one is ever here. That's why I loved it. I stayed so quiet and moved to look.
Sorry, is this place no, it's not abandoned. There are animals there.
Yeah.
She must know the owners though.
I don't know. It sounds like they're being
like
maintained.
sneaking in.
Well, if there's nobody there,
Yeah.
I probably would too. Especially because I've never touched a horse. Like
Oh,
I would
really?
love to pet a horse.
Aw.
Yeah, like I probably would have done the same thing. Once I touched it, I heard a sound like footsteps on the floor below. I froze. No one is ever here. That's why I loved it. I stayed so quiet and moved over to the ledge from behind some hay to see who came in. The steps continued, slow and deliberate, moving towards the ladder. My heart was pounding. Krista just jumped at the sound behind me. No one was there. The ladder still creaked, though. That would freak me out.
Oh, like something's coming up the ladder now? Okay.
I was frozen with fear. That's when I saw it. In the shadows below, just behind the ladder, something pale was looking up at me.
Ew.
Not a face exactly, more like the suggestion of one, hollow where the eyes should be. Krista's freaked out.
I'm horrified.
I was mesmerized and terrified in the same breath. It felt as though it was staring right through me, even from behind my hiding spot. I nearly flew down the other side of the loft, out the window, dropping the last few feet to the ground, and ran out into the pasture without even looking back. Lady acted nervous, was snorting and stamping her hooves, eyes wide as if she had seen it too. I never went into that loft again. Even now, decades later, I will occasionally see a shadow figure with a pale face in my peripheral vision, or sometimes standing and looking over me in the first few blurry seconds after I wake up.
Nope.
Krista's just horrified
No.
here. When this happens, the smell that old barn rises up, and the feeling of being seen despite having a hiding place feels as though it's a living memory reaching for me across time and space. I often think to myself, will this ever let me go? And what was in that chest?
Oh,
From
she has a way with
Lauren.
words.
Yeah, she does. Lauren, that is
beautifully
amazing.
written.
And that is one that'll pop into my head when I'm trying to sleep tonight. But thank God it's
That's
still
really
thank God it's still
creepy.
light out when I go to sleep.
Why does it make me think of a golem?
I don't know.
That's interesting.
I remember when we did that episode about the faceless, people that would see faces, like something with a hollow face, and that stuff just creeps me out.
Yeah.
You
Like
know?
she was in its space and it was like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yep. So
What was in that trunk?
I don't know. I mean,
So
Lauren,
many questions. You got to go back there. Just kidding. Don't do that.
we'll go there. We'll do a live episode
Investigation.
opening that trunk. Lauren, thank you so much for sending that in.
Again, beautifully written.
Yep.
Wow.
Krista reads.
Hi, Krista, Kurt, and the whole Strange family. Here is a recent story from my partner's care home for people with dementia, where she works as a care assistant. A few months back, one of my partner's favorite residents sadly passed away. This particular resident had a tendency to escape out of the fire door along the corridor.
I know
from
all
this
too
room.
well what this is like.
Yeah, my dad was like that. Mm-hmm. Every time the alarm went off and the staff brought him back, he would say he was trying to go home to his wife. Yep, who had long since passed away herself. The night after his passing, my partner was working and the fire exit door alarm activated along the corner from his room. She immediately went past the now empty room to find the fire door fully open. She shut the door again and reset the alarm. Staff then went round the home and checked every resident and found that no one was missing and all were in their own rooms as it was late in the evening. They had no explanation as to how the fire door came to be open. Was this the recently deceased resident making his final escape from the home? The staff certainly think so. Lots of love to you both, and thank you for all you do for us strangers, Andy. That was the other Andy
totally
story.
think that was.
Yeah.
Because I think I talked about that on here, that a lot of, and I originally thought it was just the person that trained me said that when somebody passes away, they open a window in the room so their spirit can leave.
Yeah.
And maybe in this case, they didn't do that. And this was the spirit leaving, was going through that door that it was always trying to get out through. And now it knew it could go through it.
Yeah.
So that's very possible. But you'd be amazed at the stuff that happens in a nursing home.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy how active these places are, you know. I wish I would have something more concrete happen to me, like to get touched by something or to actually see something straight on.
Yeah.
But I haven't. But everybody I've talked to there has stories about stuff they've seen, stuff they've felt, stuff they've heard. So I 100% think that this was the resident leaving.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, just finally being able to make his way out through that fire escape. So Andy, thank you so much for sending that.
Yeah.
I think that was the last one you had to read. Nope, there's another
I have
one.
another one.
All right.
It's a long one.
This is from I don't know if I have who this is. Oh, yeah, I do. Hi, Kurt and Krista. This is an ongoing and current creepy kid story. I love that this happened, and then I found out you were wanting listener stories, so I hope this fits the bill. From listener Rebecca and strangeling Johnny in Oklahoma. About a month ago, I was sitting in my 2-year-old son Johnny's room getting him ready for bed. Out of nowhere, he started singing Skidamarink-a-Dink with the hand motions, which is apparently a nursery rhyme.
I don't know the hand motions, though.
I'd never seen him do that song before, so I got super excited and enthusiastically joined in. We were both singing and laughing, having the sweet little moment when he suddenly stopped. His eyes went wide, his face turned serious, and he stared past me towards the open closet behind me.
No.
That's never good. No. Mama, what's that? He asked. I turned around, but all I saw was the oh my God.
Wow.
All I saw was the closet, clothes hanging up, toys on the floor. What? I said, a little confused. That, he insisted, still staring at the exact same spot. I started pointing to things. This or this? I named off clothes, toys, anything I could see. He said no to every single one, his gaze never shifting. Finally, I stopped guessing and just asked, what do you see? A scary guy, he said, eyes still wide. My stomach.
A scary guy?
A scary guy.
Okay.
My stomach dropped a little.
Ugh.
Is he tall or small? I asked. Tall, Johnny answered. That night, it was almost impossible to get him to go to sleep. Every time he'd lay down, he'd pop back up, point to the closet, and say, scary guy.
No.
We eventually told it to go away, and after a while, he finally fell asleep. For the next few weeks, he mentioned the scary guy in the closet a couple of nights each week, but about a week ago, things got creepier. I was lying in bed with him asking about his day. when suddenly his eyes locked on the closet and he said, "Scary guy." And then he added, "Scary guy in back, Mama's car." I froze for a second. The scary guy from the closet? Yep, he said. In the back of my car, like with my vacuum cleaner. I clean houses for a living, so my vacuum cleaner is always in the back of my car. Yep, he said again. Then he said, "Scary guy, closet." I asked, "What's the scary guy doing?" Johnny replied, "On phone, green phone." Then he said, "Scary guy, hot." The word hot sent a shiver down my spine. I instantly pictured something burning, something dangerous. Trying to stay calm, I asked if we should tell this scary guy to go away. Johnny nodded. We sat together on his bed and started saying, "Go away, scary guy, get out of our house." The moment we finished, I felt the bed jolt, like when someone walking by it accidentally bangs their shins on the footboard, only neither of us had moved. The next day, Johnny informed me that the scary guy was in my front passenger seat. So that's the story. That gave me goosebumps, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. So Krista's horrified.
They still have the scary guy?
I guess it's in her passenger seat.
She said it's ongoing.
Yeah. Yikes. Keep us updated on this.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. Rebecca, keep us updated on this because that is...
Scary.
That is...
Scary guy.
Troubling.
Yeah,
it
is troubling.
Like, it freaks me out when kids see stuff.
How old is the little guy? Our little strangeling?
I don't remember if she said.
Must be pretty young, just given the way he's
2 years old. Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, and I firmly believe you can see things when you're young and you just grow out of it.
Yeah.
You know.
That is concerning.
Getting into John Keel like I have been and other stuff like that, it's just I'm becoming very convinced that the paranormal world is like more transdimensional and that it's something that exists alongside us. And for some reason, when you're a kid, you're able to glimpse that world more than you can as you're an adult. I don't know why.
I still think it has something to do with as kids we're all told that's not real.
Yeah.
Ghosts aren't real.
Yeah.
But if you have a parent that's like, "Okay, what are you seeing?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it." Maybe that gift continues into your...
That's true. I've never thought about that. What was I going to say? Oh, one of our listeners they were asked in the strangers about their pet passing away. So I want, because didn't you say you wanted to have a story about animals and
that'd be
the paranormal?
awesome.
So we'll do that. We'll put that in for next season. Okay. Getting our final playlist together.
Yeah.
Not
do you have
final.
an actual list?
No.
Okay.
I mean, there's some that I want to do. I want to do the Mothman. I would love to do
We've never talked about the Mothman.
We have, but not about the sightings around here. And it would be so cool to have Tobias on. Yeah. I want to have one last nature of like reality, like the weird reality stuff. I want to do that. What do you want?
I don't know. I have to rack my brain. I want to do another Bigfoot episode.
And we got to have a couple missing 411s because that's kind of what got us.
We haven't even had one this season.
No, we haven't. So that kind of is what got us onto the map. You know, and there were a couple other ones that I wanted to do.
Maybe I'll put together some Bigfoot stories.
Yeah, a Bigfoot stories one would be cool. Yeah. So
people haven't stopped seeing them. So,
but and more like I'd love to have another one about kids' stories of kids seeing things. So yeah, that's just frightening. So Rebecca, keep us updated on that whole situation.
You have to keep us posted.
Yeah. Was that? Oh, now we have Katie's voicemail. Katie sent us. Oopsies. Did they break?
No, these are.
Okay.
These are very durable.
Okay.
I dropped them a lot.
Katie, I believe, sent us this last year. So this has been sitting for a while. So it is a voicemail from Katie.
Okay.
She was in our group that investigated JFK Prep.
Yeah, what was the name of the group?
It was ECWPI, East Central Wisconsin Paranormal Investigators.
Okay. That was pre-Krista.
That was pre-Krista, PK. So here is Katie's voicemail.
Hi, this is Katie, and I'm casting shadows. I'm going to tell you a ghost story. The story happened a long time ago, and it involves me and a friend of mine, my roommate at the time, Becky. She's not really part of this story, though. The drive was a long one. We were heading from Wisconsin to Alabama in order to sell T-shirts and recordings at a vendor table for a country singer that was appearing there. Now, it was a long drive, and we had to go overnight to get there on time. It was dark and stormy. I'm not going to say dark and stormy night, but it was. And it took us a long time to get there. We could not figure out what was going on when we got there because the motel that we'd been assigned was supposed to have a reservation for us. But for some reason, they didn't have one. Yet, they let us stay there anyway, without a credit card, without anything. And maybe they thought we were there for some other reason. No, we were there for actual legitimate stuff. But we stayed in that motel. And we got in the room at about 4 o'clock in the morning. Very tired. They had driven through lots of storms, including tornadoes, which we didn't find out until later that there were tornadoes. But it was time to retire. So my roommate Becky, she took one of the double beds. Excuse me, I'm having hiccupy days. She took one of the double beds. And she fell asleep immediately. Well, I took the one that was closest to the bathroom because, I need a short distance just to get from one place to the other in time. But you know how those motels are laid out. One's near the window, one's near the bathroom, and I was in one near the bathroom. So lights were out. I had just laid down to go to sleep. But there was some light coming in from the motel sign outside. Not a whole lot. The shades were drawn, and normally not a problem. But as I'm lying there waiting to go to sleep, something came in through our door. And this is true. It came in through the door, not opening the door, but through the door. It was a black shape. I don't know what it was. It moved very smoothly across the room until it came to the foot of my bed. Holy smokes, oh no, you're not going to do this to me, Mr. Black Blobby Shadow thing, but it tried. I couldn't really move, but I saw it come up between my bed and the wall. We're talking like an 18-inch space, just enough to slide your ass out of the bed and get over to the bathroom, and then enough to get back into the bed without going through the space between the two beds. It came up that little bitty space, and I figure it looked like that. And little bitty space. It's got its big fat little blobby body up between me and the wall, and I'm just staring at it, and I was like, what the hell is this? And suddenly, with a blink, all of a sudden, there was something on top of me, and it was like trying to get to third base, if you know what I mean. I didn't know this thing had that kind of a part. But I got really mad. It didn't get anywhere with me. It was heavy. It felt like an old log wrapped in burlap, and it was still damp and nasty, and had ropes tying the burlap around it. And I was like, ew, nasty. But I didn't get scared. I got really angry. I got pissed off. I wanted to get some sleep, and here this dang Hank was trying to get to third base with me. What in the heck? I got so mad, all of a sudden, I just put my hands up on them, whatever this thing was. And that's how I knew what it felt like, what it was like. I had my hands on the damn thing. And I pushed that sucker off. And then I saw that blobby thing go right back across the room out the door. Okay, well, that was an interesting experience, but I was really tired. And frankly, I just went to sleep. The next morning, Becky gets up, I get up, and we're just getting ready to get going and go over to the venue where the singer was. And I asked her, did you notice anything coming into the room after we, turned out the lights and stuff? And she says, no, I fell asleep. Okay. So we went over and did the gig. It was a nice place called Looney's Tavern, which I guess is now closed, but it was an outdoor amphitheater in the mountain somewhere. And I was at the desk where the stuff was. Not desk, it was a table, for Christ's sake. Excuse my French. But I asked one of the people who came up to buy something. I just asked him, you heard of this motel over there? And I gave her the name of the motel. And she said, yeah. And said, you ever hear of anything weird happening there? And she just said, well, there are rumors about the woods right behind it. And I went, okie dokie. Thank you very much. Anyway, we finished there for the night. And got to talk to the singer's manager. And we told him, well, we're checked in at the motel like you told us to. And he said, which motel? And we said, we told him which one it was. And said, no, you were supposed to be at the one next door. It's like, we were? And the funny thing is, when we checked out, that motel didn't charge us. Again, it didn't charge us anything. We got to stay there for free. So the following night, we just stayed in the one we were supposed to, and hopefully no ghosts would come in the door, and they didn't. So anyway, that's my story of this big blobby shadowy thing that pissed me off and made me get into a fight with a ghost. It's not the first time or the last time I've gotten in a fight with a ghost. But anyway, I want to wish you all a great Halloween. Nice and spooky. And as they say in the upcoming musical being produced by Beale Street Theater here in Kingman, Arizona, The Scarlet Pimpernel, women of Paris, come gather your bloody bouquets.
Jeez.
Yeah, okay. I've seen The Scarlet Pimpernel on Broadway in New York.
Never,
it's a great,
I don't even know what it
musical.
is. But
I barely remember it. I just know I loved it.
Because
This was
Katie's
like 25, 30 years
involved
ago.
with stuff in Kingsman, Arizona, and there's been a lot of weird stuff there. But what I was going to tell you when we were listening to this is that what's weird to me, I think I remember Katie telling me this story because she was in our first ghost hunting group. Mm-hmm. But what's weird to me is that within the last 2 years, and I haven't talked to Katie in forever, within the last 2 years, I had another friend with almost the same exact story, except I think they were in Tennessee in a motel, and they had the same thing. They woke up in the night, and there was a black shadow figure in the room, and then it tried, getting a little
jiggy with it,
getting a little frisky with them. And they were able to push this thing off. So it's weird to me that it's two southern hotels with almost the same story, except in the one the other person told me they woke up and it was just in the room. It didn't come through the door. But it's creepy. Like we were talking while we were listening to that clip, that's a incubus? Or a succubus?
Succubus is a female, incubus is a male.
Yeah, and it always reminds me of the gunslinger from when he's in that circle of stones and that spirit. But creepy story.
It also
Katie.
really reminds me of sleep paralysis. Just putting that out there as somebody who suffered sleep paralysis for years. And I had a sleep paralysis experience in a hotel where something came into my room, crawled onto the bed, and was stroking my hair. And this was in Vegas. And then I still at that time in my life didn't know what sleep paralysis was. And I remember telling people the next day, we were all out to dinner. It was a work thing. Yeah. And everybody looked at me like I was nuts. It was the Flamingo Hotel, which is supposed to be haunted actually. But today I know that was just sleep paralysis. But I mean, the fact that she could move and push it off of her, that breaks the sleep paralysis thing.
Yeah. There was the Southern Hotel. We were at a hotel, I want to say Mississippi or with my dad, Tennessee, Mississippi, somewhere around there. And that's where I had that crazy dream. I've mentioned it on here where it's one of those dreams that has stayed with me my whole life. Like it meant something, but I don't know what it meant. But in the dream, I know I've said this on here. So for your longtime listener, you probably heard it where in the dream, I'm standing on top of this pile of rocks, like this hill just made up of rubble. And I go down the hill a little bit, and there's a girl standing there looking out at the landscape that's just barren, and the sky is orange. like almost something from the Gunslinger book, apocalyptic. And this girl is standing there and I don't see her face. So I don't know who she is. And I walk and I stand next to her. And I say, I don't remember if she said it or I said it. I think I said, do you know where we are? And she said, yes, we're in hell.
Ew.
And I said, I wasn't going to let you go through this alone.
Oh,
and
okay.
Then I woke
now
up,
I remember this
And then
story.
I woke up and I was just laying there with my eyes wide open, like just feeling like this powerful, weird feeling like that was
Heart probably
something.
racing.
Yeah. And I've never had a dream like that vivid, but that was in a Southern hotel. So maybe there's something up with Southern hotels. Yeah. But Katie, thank you so much for sending that last Halloween.
Yeah, whoops.
It takes us a while, but we get there eventually. I would love to check out Kingsman. Kingman? Is it Kingman or Kingsman in Arizona?
She said Kingsman.
But there's supposedly a lot of stuff that happens down there.
I think it's very interesting that they went to the wrong hotel too, and then she had this experience.
Yep. Okay, next story is yours, and I think this is your last.
One.
Yep, and then I got two more after that because we got one just this morning.
Hello, I might be late, but still want to share my story with the two of you. I'll be honest, I think some of it can be explained logically. The rest, I simply do not know. My experiences probably occurred between 2004 and 2007. It happened at my house in Milford, Ohio, a little bit northeast of Cincinnati. I purchased the house in 2001. It was a bi-level house that was built in the 1970s. My brother lived with me for a while. While he lived with me, I do not remember anything happening. It was a normal house on a quiet street. The house had 3 bedrooms. Being a bi-level, when you come in the front door, you either walked upstairs or downstairs. So we call that a tri-level. Not a huge house. All appliances, water heater, heat pump were relatively new. I started dating a lady who is now my wife. She moved in, I think, in the year 2005. We got married in 2006. My brother moved out shortly afterwards. This is about the time things started occurring. One weird thing about the house, cell phones did not work well on the property. I remember talking to Verizon and T-Mobile about it. I was told that my house was in a, quote, dead zone. This basically means that the cell phone tower signals did not reach my house. They showed me a map. My house is perfectly centered in this so-called dead zone. I had a landline back then, so not the end of the world. This probably has no bearing on anything, but just listing it as one of the oddities.
That would drive me crazy, not having cell service.
Although now, at least with an iPhone, if you have Wi-Fi, you can just use Wi-Fi calling, which is what I do. I don't have great service at work.
Yeah.
I had converted one of my rooms into an office. It had a few computers in it, printer, etc. My girlfriend and I would sometimes hear noises that sounded like someone was softly typing on a computer. If you went into the office, it would cease.
That's creepy.
I tried to debunk this as being caused by the heater, air conditioner, except it could be heard when it was not running. Another weird fact, the office had 2 pink handprints that someone painted inside the closet. The previous owners did not have children.
That's weird.
That's very weird. I asked some of my neighbors if any kids ever lived at the house, but no one could remember any. Again, just a weird thing. I had a few battery backups, UPS, for my computers. The house had power flickers often. Without the UPS, the computers would crash, reboot. The landline also had to be serviced a lot. The line would get a lot of static on it. Ooh, that's your favorite.
Mm-hmm. That's my absolute favorite.
The power and phone came in through the backyard of the house.
Static creeps me out. I don't know what it is. Okay, go on.
The backyard was heavily wooded and thick. It had a lot of privacy, but also lots of overgrowth, animals, etc. I suspect all of these played some part in the electric issues I ran into. My wife kept seeing something out of the corner of her eye. I did a few times, but it was usually her that saw something. Just a quick glimpse with no details. It also felt like we were being watched, a weird, creepy feeling. One day I was home alone getting ready for work. I was getting dressed in our bedroom. The room became cold. It felt like I was standing on a field of static electricity. I was also a bit scared as I did not know what was going on. This lasted a few minutes and I remember it just ending. I went to work and was shaken up by this event. I never had an encounter like this in my life. I have no clue what it was or could have been. It also never occurred again. I was also having frequent nightmares. These would usually occur about 2 to 3 a.m. I would sort of wake up, but I could not move. I had the impression that something evil was causing it. I thought it could be aliens. Not sure why this came to mind. I have no memory of anything specific happening, nor do I remember seeing anything. The dream kind of sounds like night paralysis or sleep paralysis. To be honest, I hope it was. That's what it sounds like to me.
I don't know. The other stuff going on in the house is interesting, though.
Yeah, very interesting. We eventually got married. My wife became pregnant, and we moved to Kentucky in 2007, a few weeks after our first child was born. The new house was about 45 minutes away. Since moving, we have not had any experiences at the house we live in now. Well, not entirely true. I still have frequent, reoccurring dreams about the house in Milford. The dream usually consists of me being confused as to why we moved back to the house. The dream morphs into a bit of a nightmare, not one where I'm screaming or crying, but one of dread and terror. It's as if the house is wanting me back, but I know I should not be there.
That's creepy.
Super creepy.
That is super creepy.
So that is my strange story. Was it caused by nerves? I was living with my girlfriend, getting married, and dealing with a lot of life change events. Could be. However, when we moved into the new house, we had an infant. My wife became pregnant again, and now we have 2 kids. I also changed jobs shortly after. All of these were stressful, yet no strange experiences. Okay, time to stop rambling. Just wanted to share my stories. Apologies if it is all over the place.
It's perfect.
I also wanted to thank you both for your podcast.
Aww.
I heard the news that you were going to end it soon, but would have occasional podcasts. You were both great driving, walking partners for me. I will certainly miss the stories, taste tests, and listening to your stories. I'm just going to say his first name, Chris.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
No, that's interesting. I wonder if it being in a dead zone with no signal had something to do with that. Maybe,
it could be.
Like, I don't know.
It's interesting, all the weird electrical stuff that was going on, and then you had that weird static feeling.
I would feel like you were going to get hit by lightning when you feel something like that, you know?
But
it almost sounds like an electromagnetic thing.
Yeah.
You know, maybe EMF. I don't know. That's just...
The nightmares are really creepy, though.
Yeah, the nightmares are creepy. And
it's interesting, he moves to a new house.
And he still dreams about...
Yeah, there's no creepy stuff happening except the nightmares.
That's a cool story.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris. All right, we got 2 more, and then I got a couple of Reddit stories.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
This is from Danielle. Hi, Kurt and Krista. I have a few stories, but let's start at the very beginning. I grew up on the North Shore of Boston, Massachusetts, in a little shoemaking town. That sounds so quaint. Mm-hmm. When I was 10, my family moved into a 3-bedroom, 1800s Victorian home that served as a church in its day.
That sounds amazing.
That does. It had stained glass windows, bedrooms with built-in candle holders on the wall, and even a built-in confessional, which is where we kept our fridge.
Okay, as you do.
Here's the kicker, though. According to the Historical Society, this was the house where author H.P. Lovecraft got his inspiration for his story, Dreams in the Witch House.
I've never read any of
I haven't really
books.
read any Lovecraft either. None of us
I feel
knew.
like that's weird. We probably should.
Yeah, we probably should. None of us knew this when we moved in. But from the very first day, I felt like something was watching me. This house is the reason why, to this day, at 38 years old, I still wear earplugs and a sleep mask to bed. Within the first week, my bed started shaking at night. At first, it was slight, something my 10-year-old brain brushed off as cars passing by or the quirks of an old house. But one night, the shaking was so violent, it felt straight out of The Exorcist. That's so creepy.
No.
I bolted to my parents' room and refused to go back. That night, as I lay wide awake on their floor, I heard faint music coming from their closet, music from another era. No TV upstairs, no radio, just that eerie, distant music.
Their closet?
Yeah. Music that I would hear again, but this time drifting from the basement of a nearby house that was empty of any living persons. Years later, as a teen, I moved back into that bedroom for extra space. I wedged my bed tightly into a corner, thinking that it couldn't shake again. Wrong. Not only did I feel vibrations, but sometimes I would feel what I can only describe as scurrying or tugging at the blankets near my feet. And there was no room for anyone or anything to be at the foot of my bed. I would often see streaks of light dancing across the top of our ceiling despite blackout curtains. Dishes would be tossed from the drying rack. Lamps would mysteriously be placed in the center of the living room floor. I would hear faint conversations but could never make out words, and I was physically touched by something. And one night, I'm almost certain I saw the Hat Man, but that's a story for another listener episode. Thank you so much for all you do, for bringing us stories that make us think outside the box or, quote, normal, and for allowing us to share ours. Kurt, I'm so happy you are in a good place. You deserve nothing but the best. Krista, tell Lucy that she's the goodest of good girls and give her a hug from me. Stay strange, Danielle.
Aww.
Thank you so much, Danielle.
Very sweet.
That's
some creepy stuff. I want to hear this Hat Man story.
Creepy stuff. I do too. The music from
that is the creepiest part. Well,
yeah,
the
like
bed
the old
stuff is
timey
pretty
music,
damn creepy too.
Like just old timey music in itself
Yeah.
is creepy coming from someplace.
Somewhere
Doesn't
it
have to be a
shouldn't be
closet.
coming from.
Yep.
And the bed stuff.
Yep. And here's our last listener story. It is from Tiffany. We got this just this morning.
Okay.
Dear Kurt and Krista, I've been a fan and listener of your podcast for a couple of years now and have listened to almost all of your episodes, some of them a few times. I just love that people can listen to us more than I don't even like listening to us when I'm editing the podcast.
Yeah.
It's great having such genuine and kind people to listen to and spend time with, especially because you also have interesting topics that have broadened my horizons to a range of other podcasts, though none as good as yours.
Aw.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Anyway, I've been meaning to write in with a listener story, and I really don't want to miss my chance. I have had a lot of strange experiences I could report, but I want to tell you about one that is different from anything I've heard. It was 2021, and I was finally living close enough to a new job to walk the few miles when I gave myself enough time. The best part was the path went past my favorite place in the world, a neighborhood cemetery. Like, I love...
Yeah.
I
We talk about this all the
I would
time, I
gladly
swear.
walk through a cemetery at night and not be freaked out
Yeah,
by
same.
it. I find them more calming than
peaceful.
scary.
Hey,
Anyway,
living out in the middle of the country, there are a lot of little cute cemeteries around here.
well, there
I
was that
love
one
it.
that Aaron and I mentioned on here too, where Aaron and I got that one geocache, and it was just like it just was like foggy. It was a creepy, foggy morning. And in order to get to the geocache, there was a fence that we had to open the door for, and the fence was tilted. So the door, as soon as we opened it,
Banged
it came
shut?
swinging down
Yeah.
open.
Oh,
and we
open,
went to
okay.
get the geocache, and we were writing our name, and we heard a click, and we looked back, and the gate had closed.
Oh, which
And
it shouldn't do that.
And there is no way that it could have swung back up
'Cause it
against
was fighting
gravity.
gravity,
And
okay.
Aaron was like freaked out, and I was too. You know?
I mean, that would be a little freaky.
Yeah, but like little country cemeteries are just
love
like
it.
the best. Anyway, in the morning I had to leave before they were open, but I could walk alongside the cemetery, which was fenced in and had a sidewalk between the fence and the road. It was a very quiet road with but no real business across from the cemetery because it met up with an overpass. Anyway, I mention all of that just to say it was not busy. There was no one else visible walking around, no tall buildings across from me that could have reflected the light. It was about 7:30 a.m. It was sunny with hardly a whisper of a cloud in the sky. I was walking so that the fence and cemetery were on my right. Some cars, mostly empty semis, a popular spot to park them, were along the road. I was on the phone with a friend as I walked. Then, in one instant, I was crouched a little, braced with my left arm up, elbow bent as though protecting my head and face from something above me. I had seen a flash of a grid of light falling from above and to the left of me in the sky coming towards me. And it seemed so real and so physically tangible that I instinctively braced myself for the hit. The best way I can explain it is almost like a tic-tac-toe grid where the lines are clear white light. That is so
That is
weird.
so bizarre.
It was so surreal. It happened so quickly. I responded so quickly and subconsciously that it didn't even seem real. It seemed like my brain skipped a second somehow. I was talking to my friend and interrupted the conversation with some kind of exclamation, and my friend asked what happened. I immediately related everything as I have told you now. The grid of light was now gone, but the recollection of it was clear, and again, it was so real that I reacted as though now with a life-saving instinctual immediacy to it.
Never heard of anything like that.
No. It reminds me of that day that I was driving and I was like looking kind of over the lake, and I saw
yeah.
that flash
Like a
of
sun blink.
like a sun blink where Ellison, everything got super bright and then it was back to normal. It was almost more like a sun flare.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what the hell was that? It was almost like a nuclear bomb had gone off and
Ooh,
it got that
that's so
bright.
creepy.
And that's kind of what this sounds like, but with a tic-tac-toe grid. So I'm really,
Very
really
bizarre.
very interested in this story because this is like the kind of stuff I love. It's been 4 years and I still have no idea how to process what happened that day. I have heard and read a little bit about light workers and some theories about crystal grids, light grids, and various other variations of sacred geometry. That's interesting. I don't know if that could be something related to what happened to me because I've never seen any accounts where it seems to physically manifest. I don't know if there could be a connection to some other strange occurrences, but I've also had other premonition type dreams. Even if there were real lights and there was nowhere that it could have come from, I had never heard of bracing yourself against being hit by light. The entire idea is so contradictory that it makes me wonder what made me react that way, except that the grid seemed to be quickly moving towards me. Anyway, that's probably my simplest story. It really doesn't sound like much, but also maybe the strangest. I love it. That's exactly the kind of stuff I love. I figured that makes the best type to send to the strange sessions. Let me know if you have any ideas. I'd love to hear them.
It's a head scratcher.
Thanks again for having such a wonderful show and being such wonderful companions to all of us listeners out here. Best always, and stay strange, Tiffany. Thank you so much, Tiffany.
That's an interesting
I don't know, man.
story.
That's right up there with Sunblinks as far as like
what is that?
Are we living in a computer simulation where it glitched on you for a second? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It's interesting that her friend didn't see anything.
Her friend was on the phone.
Oh, it's on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but this reminds me of Sunblinks where you see something happen and then it's gone.
Yeah.
But again, like the fact that Tiffany braced herself
Right,
against it,
for,
like she
like-
was going to get struck by
Yeah.
it, which is weird. I don't know what to make of that, but I just think that's further proof that reality isn't what we think reality is.
Yeah.
No, Tiffany, thank you so much for that. That is awesome. Wow, that's our listener stories.
We're at an hour and a half right now. I mean, probably an hour and 20 with like the unedited
and
stuff.
I'll read just a couple of these.
Okay.
So these are just various Reddit stories that I had saved that I really liked, or I thought were creepy, or I thought were funny, or a little bit of both. I'll end with one that I thought was funny.
Okay.
This one, not funny. This one creeped me out. Okay. Somebody on Reddit writes, this happened about 4 years ago. And again, this wasn't on No Sleep where it's fake stories. Like these were like, what's your scariest experience that ever happened to you? So this person writes, this happened about 4 years ago. It wasn't the first paranormal occurrence to happen to me, just the one that scared me the most. One night, my 2.5-year-old son woke my husband and I up when he crawled into our bed. I couldn't fall back asleep, so I decided to go work on a project in my craft room. I was in there for about 45 minutes when the small monitor to the nanny cams started rapidly flickering on and off. Mind you, these were not motion sensor cams, only continuous feed. The cams are in the living room and our son's bedroom. I went over to the monitor and picked it up. It all of a sudden made this loud, ear-piercing sound like mic feedback. It startled me and I dropped the monitor. I picked the monitor up and turned it to look at the screen. Now I saw my son standing as still as a statue in the middle of the living room staring at the wall. I started for the door with the monitor still in my hand. When I glanced down again, now my son's head had turned towards the camera in the upper corner of the room, now looking directly at me through the camera. He had no expression on his face at all. I left the room and went through the small kitchen and dining room, rounded the corner to the living room, and it was empty. The door to our bedroom was on the other side. I went in there, and my son was sound asleep in the same position he was in when
I literally just got the goosebumps.
when I left. My husband looked up from his e-reader. I asked him if he had woken up and went to the living room. He told me no. I asked my husband if he had gotten up to go to the bathroom or kitchen, thinking maybe he just didn't see our son try to follow him, but he swore that he hadn't left the bed at all, and our son had been peacefully sleeping the whole time. Like I said, this wasn't the first time we've seen doppelgangers, but it was always so brief you didn't really have time to be scared or to completely register it. This was different. It wasn't just a glimpse. Above all, it was a look on my son's face, that empty, void stare when he turned his head to face the camera. Still now typing it gives me the chills.
Yeah, that's really scary.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something about like that he's looking at the camera and looking at you, watching him through the camera.
You're looking at him.
Yep.
And it's not him.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I love this one. Was out to dinner with my boyfriend at the time in a very crowded, very loud Thai restaurant about 9 years ago. We were practically yelling at each other across the table, trying to maintain a conversation over all the hustle and bustle. Then, out of nowhere, all the noise completely stops all at once. I stopped talking mid-sentence because I realized I was now yelling in a silent room. Every hair on my body stood on end. Everyone around us was silent and still. The kitchen sounded motionless. Everything was completely quiet for maybe 2 minutes. Then as quickly as the silence fell, the restaurant came back to life.
2 minutes is a really long time.
Never happened again. Then somebody replied and said, did everyone else stop talking or did sound just vanish? Did your significant other notice it too? Did you look around at the other guests?
I also have follow-up questions.
Did you look around at the other guests? What were they doing? And then their reply was, I was too afraid to turn around and look because I had this idea that they were all just staring at us. That creeps me out.
Yeah, that's creepy.
It just sounded like everything stopped. No shuffling noises, no AC, no clanking of plates, nothing. And somebody else replied, said, I had this happen while I was out in the street with cars and a few people talking in front of me. Everything became silent and stopped moving for about 5 seconds. And then all the people turned to look at me. I was freaked out. And then somebody else replied and said, that's something called, quote, the leaden silence.
What?
It's always creepy. I've had it happen around me a dozen or so times. If you're paying attention, there is almost always a small precursor noise, such as someone dropping a fork. This is an old survival instinct. It predates mammals. Try sneaking up on a frog pond sometime. At some point, the frogs near you will go completely silent when they sense you, and the wave of silence will then spread out to the entire pond. It is frightening because it's meant to be frightening. This is the signal that a predator is near. So that's creepy.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So there. This one's very
those are a little harder to believe,
Yes.
if I'm being honest,
Yes.
but still creepy.
This one is a little shorter. I was sitting watching a thunderstorm in my car when I got a weird feeling like I had just been sitting there with someone up until that moment, a sense that they were still there, or a sense that they had been there and I had known them for a long time, but suddenly they have vanished from having ever existed. I still have their house key that was left behind, but have no idea where they lived.
What?
So I don't know.
That doesn't even make sense, but
That's weird.
it's weird.
Somebody else writes, this one I don't know. This happened 25 years ago, but I remember it so clearly. We would always wake my dad up by going in and jumping on his bed on weekends. He worked a lot and was gone when we woke up most mornings and home after we went to bed. So weekends were really the only time we got to see him. So anyway, my brother and I are about 6 and 7 at the time, and we go in one weekend to wake him up, jump on his bed a bit, just being kids, and start talking to dad. Then suddenly we hear tap, tap, tap. And we say, what was that? My dad, who's laying in bed on his back, says, I'm tapping on the window. The window's about 8 feet away from the bed in the upstairs bedroom. And then we hear tap, tap, tap again. And then say, Dad, what is that? And he says, I'm tapping on the window. Here, watch. He puts his arm behind his pillow and shakes it around a bit. And then a hand appears outside the window as if someone was crouching down and just reached up and taps the glass 3 times. I looked at my dad and he just laughed. I couldn't comprehend it at the time. I still have no idea if it's something I just wanted to see and my mind thought it was there or what, but I've never forgotten it. Yeah.
That's perplexing.
It's very perplexing.
Was it a bird and he was just messing with them, knowing that the bird was tapping or something?
I don't know.
That's weird.
So I'll just end with this one because those were kind of creepy and I like this one. So somebody on Reddit writes, I gotta find it here. I live in a condo complex, and like a lot of people here, I have cats. I know my cat sometimes mingles with the other ones outside, and sometimes they fight. Anyway, I was walking back from school around 3 p.m., and I was just about to walk inside my house until I heard a distant meow that sounded like my cat. Then there were more and more meows. I kept following it until I reached someone's porch. Nobody lived in that condo, so I just walked onto the porch, and I swear to God, I saw about a dozen or so, 10 to 14 cats having a meeting, an actual effing meeting. They were all sitting in a perfect circle. My cat was a part of it too, occasionally meowing, but all acting very polite. No hissing, fighting, or anything. Nobody effing believes me that I saw our neighborhood cats having a meeting. And somebody responds saying, I used to have a book when I was a kid, something like Understanding Your Cat, a pet owner's guide. I remember this phenomenon being described in there, complete with an illustration, and the author saying that no one has been able to explain this behavior. And somebody replies and said, yeah, it's a known thing that cats do occasionally, but no one can confidently explain it. Theories range from lunar schedules to territory conflicts to magnetism or something to do with mating. There was a picture on Reddit a while ago a guy snapped of a, quote, cat meeting he found in his neighbor's driveway with more than a dozen cats. And somebody replies and said, I was walking through the woods once and came across about 15 or 20 squirrels, all sitting in a big circle with one stood up tall like it was his turn to speak. They all turned and looked at us and then scattered in every direction. If my friend hadn't been there, nobody would ever verify that I'd witnessed a session of the Squirrel Parliament.
We're having a cat conference.
So there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
Just some fun Reddit stories. I want
Yeah.
to see that too. I love the idea of the cats having like a
little conference.
HOA meeting in
Yeah.
their neighborhood. So there you go. Some fun Reddit stories. You ready for trivia?
I am.
All right.
We both get all situated in our chairs.
These have a theme except for the Strange Stumper. Strange Stumper is one that I've been sitting on for a while.
Okay.
So, question 33, I believe. You ready? They all have a theme. Once you figure out what the theme is, you should be able. These are all pretty easy. Question number 33. One of my all-time favorite music videos, because of course it is, opens with a shot of... Wow. Didn't that happen when we were doing trivia last time?
Well, and it happened earlier in the episode.
Yeah. One of my all-time favorite music videos, because of course it is, opens with a shot of Mardot sitting on a chair. Mardot is M-A-R-D-O-T. It opens with a shot of Mardot sitting on a chair. For 10 strange points, give me the name of the artist and the name of their band. Again, one of my all-time favorite music videos, because of course it is, opens with a shot of Mardot sitting on a chair. For 10 strange points, give me the name of the artist and the name of their band. Question number 34. For 5 strange points, give me the name of the 1980s album by a well-known band whose 5th track provided the name of a well-known 90s and beyond band. That makes sense?
Yep.
For 5 strange points, give me the name of the 80s album by a well-known band whose 5th track provided the name of a well-known 90s and beyond band. So the 5th track on this album is responsible for the name of a band in the 90s and beyond. And number 35. Question number 35. I love this when I was younger because this, I might have even mentioned this on the podcast. If you find it on here, then props to you. I love this when I was younger because this was something meta before being meta became a thing, being self-referential. You know what I mean? Like Scream. So I love this when I was young. It was meta before meta became a thing. An episode of a television series from the 1980s ended with Arnold from Different Strokes, June Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver, Richard Simmons, Kit, the car from Knight Rider, and Ed McMahon, among several others, all chanting, quote, "Turn it off," referring to a television set. For 15 strange points, give me the name of the episode and the name of the television show.
Okay.
Love this when I was young. It was meta before being meta was a thing. An episode of a television series from the 1980s ended with Arnold from Different Strokes, June Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver, Richard Simmons, Kit, the car from Knight Rider, and Ed McMahon, among several others, all chanting "Turn it off," referring to a television set. For 15 strange points, give me the name of the episode and the name of the television show. And your strange stumper, question 36. I love this one because this is kind of a different one. I love it when the KVSC trivia contest would do a question like this. So, strange stumper, question 36. It happens too fast. Some Cinderella kid can put that smile back on your face. Never doubt that you're the one. You make my heart sing. For 5 strange points, give me the title of the 5 sports movies.
Okay.
Yep. Strange stumper. It happens too fast. Some Cinderella kid can put that smile back on your face. Never doubt that you're the one. You make my heart sing. For 5 strange points, give me the title of the 5 sports movies.
I can come up with some of those.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know the process behind it. Okay. There you go. There are your trivia questions for today. Anything else? Deets?
Yeah, Deets.
You can email us at thestrangesessions@gmail.com. We are on Instagram at thestrangesessions, where Krista does an amazing job. Love our Instagram listeners. You can send postcards and snail mail to The Strange Sessions, P.O. Box 434, Manitowoc, Wisconsin 54221-0434. Or you can call our lonely phone number at 920-443-9602. And you can send listener stories always to thestrangesessionsstories@gmail.com. Do we got anything else?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But no, I'm hoping you guys are liking the trivia. I have so much fun coming up with these questions.
I'll be interested to see who has been playing along but hasn't emailed yet.
Yeah. I know people have sent stuff. I know there's a couple that have gotten a lot of them right, like a surprising amount. Again, it's just teaching you to be a good Googler, I guess, to figure out. I couldn't believe, I'll say who it was, Roland, got the first really hard question. You know, the one about they always open their show.
That one.
He got that one. And I was like, dang. Because Corey, I had to keep giving him more and more hints. And then he finally got it. But I hope you guys are having fun with that. Yeah, that's about all I got.
Cool.
I'm weirdly tired all of a sudden.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah. I got to mess around until like 10 o'clock because my phone, T-Mobile doesn't open until 10, I think. And I got to pay my phone bill. Because today, if I don't pay it by today, I've never missed paying a phone bill. So I got to do that. What do you guys? Oh, you have your picnic.
Company picnic
In
a thunderstorm.
I don't think
outside.
It's
it's coming. And it's supposed to hit right when we're like going.
I heard tonight is supposed to be bad, like overnight.
Oh, it says
into
like
tomorrow.
heavy thunderstorms at noon.
But there's tents and stuff at least, right?
There's a tent, yeah. A big tent, but we got to walk there from where we're parking. And
They said by Tuesday we could have like 4 inches. Like it's supposed to be stormy the next bunch of days.
there's a lot of flooding in like Milwaukee.
Yeah. This has been just a weird
Yeah.
summer. I'm convinced that it's global warming and
for
climate
sure.
change.
Yeah,
That's
I agree.
all these floods. Like Milwaukee was crazy. Did you see the videos of Milwaukee? Like,
yeah, I just said that.
Did you?
100%.
Told you I'm
State
tired.
Fair,
I told you I'm tired.
like
Yeah, the
people
state
trying to leave State Fair and
and like
cars were
like
stranded on the
submerged
highway.
up to their
yeah.
top of their windows.
Houses totally, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
crazy.
so crazy. Like I never think about a flood,
Not in Milwaukee.
but I'm like right on
wild.
Lake Michigan. So anything ever happens to Lake Michigan, I am sunk.
There's
Like,
quite
literally.
a cliff down to the water though, right? Like
No,
Oh, really?
no.
Where I lived in Sheboygan was like right off the lake, but it was in an area where it was like cliffs.
No.
Like you weren't on the level with the lake.
It's not on the level with the lake, but it's not that much lower than the road is. So if
I don't know
anything
what
ever
would happen in Lake Michigan though, like an earthquake and a tsunami or
UFOs,
something.
UFOs, I don't know.
Yeah.
Tsunamis are creepy. Like I don't ever
Tsunamis
want.
are terrifying.
Yeah. Yep.
Eek.
Yeah.
Whoa, we digress.
Yeah, we digress. More terrifying stuff. So there you go. Hopefully you guys liked it. Again, thank you so much to everybody that sent stuff in. We love getting voicemails from
And
you
for
guys.
the tasty taste test.
And for the tasty taste test.
I think we have one more.
We do. And then
No,
one.
2 more. I think there's at least
I
2
have a
more in
really
there.
nasty one at home that
Oh,
we got to
good.
try. So
Can't
that'll be
wait.
after the good stuff from England.
Are we coming up with a Halloween episode?
No, but we probably should.
Yeah, I'll brainstorm a good one for Halloween.
do that.
Okay.
We should at some point revisit Maura Murray.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
That should be in our next season.
Yeah, that should be towards the
appropriate.
end. Yep. So thank you guys so much for listening. Yeah, I'm just drained today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, it's your one day off. Enjoy it.
It is my one day off. Tomorrow's like, there's no supervisors there. Tomorrow, it's like weekends are really kind of laid back there. But the big boss came up yesterday and gave me like a list of rooms that have to be completely clean. So I got my work cut out for me tomorrow. But again, I'm in a room by myself. I did have to do a complete clean of a room the day after somebody passed away in the room, but nothing weird happened, unfortunately. So, but I think that's it.
Okay.
I feel like I'm just dragging on because I feel like there was something we were going to say, but I
don't
can't
know
think of
what,
what it
though.
was. Oh, Linda. She was one of the teachers when I was at Washington, and she sent me a bunch of photos the other day.
Oh, I know. I was going to ask, did the guy on the bike ever reveal who he is?
No,
Dang.
but this was her. She sent me these the other day. That's her and some of her friends, some of the people she met. She was in Paulding. That's the Paulding Lights.
Paulding Lake. Oh, they saw it.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yep. And she said the most amazing part of it were the people that she met. She said there was
Yeah.
quite a group there,
I'm sure.
to see it. And she said she talked to everybody and she said it was really cool. She said she's not super impressed with the light. She kind of knows what it probably is.
Yeah.
What we said it was. But she's like, I would love to see it, even like talk to people that are there to see it. I'm sure there's some kooky individuals there that are seeing it.
I'd like to
but-
do it, and it's within driving
yeah.
distance.
But no, I didn't hear back from the guy on the bike, so I don't know who that was.
Maybe he wants to remain a mystery.
He might, I don't
Or he
blame him.
hasn't listened yet. He's behind on episodes.
He
He
could be
doesn't know
behind
you
on
asked.
episodes. Well, and it's funny because Dominique, was it Dominique? Logan, like a lot of them, I said, because I think Logan was the one I was writing back and forth with, and I'm like, is there anything you want us to do before our last season? And she's like, wait, what? Because she's behind it, because she saves up a bunch of them. So Logan, sorry,
Yeah.
but I spit on my glasses.
Yeah, there are probably a lot of people who haven't found out yet because they're just behind.
Yeah.
But sorry.
Again,
It'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. It's a long ways away, and we will still be getting together. And by that point, AI can just do it for us.
Yep. They're already doing our videos for us now.
Already doing our videos. You're going to have fun with that video app, aren't you?
Probably a little
So
too
thank
much.
you guys so much for listening. We love you.
We do love
and
you.
we will be back in 2 weeks with a Strange States episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're getting near the end of the season,
Will
really.
it be September by the time we get back together?
I think so.
I'm like giddy about September.
It will be September.
It's supposed to be pretty nice this week.
We only
Like 70s.
we only realistically have like 6 or 7 more episodes for this season.
Really?
Yeah, because it's I think our next episode will be September, so figure 2 episodes for
It'll
September.
be August 30th.
Okay,
So
close
close.
enough. But think about 2 episodes for September, 2
Yep.
episodes for October, 2 episodes for November. Right there, 6.
That's true.
And Corey will be here. Corey might have to take vacation, or we might have to figure something out for
To do a Christmas episode.
our season finale and
And then-
I kind of want to do again what we did last Christmas with they send in questions and we answer them.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was. And then Corey loved it. Corey loved knowing the questions beforehand.
Oh,
So
yeah,
think
I liked
maybe-
that too.
I think maybe we'll do that again for Christmas.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. And then next season will be our last regular season before we modify things.
yeah.
But we're not going anywhere. I'm going to keep the P.O. box open because people can send us
And the
stuff.
phone line.
So yeah, I think that's it. So I'll just shut up for now and quit rambling.
You're a little
So
rambly today.
We love you guys. So from Krista and I down in Strange Cellar 1.5, until next time,
Stay strange.